Moderators for the upcoming presidential debates are now set, and the Democratic and Republican nominees both said to be preparing diligently for the face-offs. But Libertarian candidate Gary Johnson is still hoping to get on that stage. The latest Fox News poll shows Johnson at 9%, well behind Clinton and Trump, and below the 15% threshold needed to participate in the debates. Maria Bartiromo talked to the former New Mexico governor about his strategy and what he hopes can change going forward.
Governor, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Maria, thank you.
So I'm looking at a quote that you said recently. It is game over on winning the White House if you do not make it to the debate stage. How are you going to get there?
Well, all of our analytics are pointing upward. Getting to that first debate, really crucial, Maria, is just getting included in the top line. Johnson, Trump, Clinton. It's not the top line, and then 99% of the media just reports the top line. So it's a hard threshold to meet. We're giving ourselves a better than 50% chance of actually getting there. And if it isn't the first debate, the clock will keep ticking. So you could potentially make the second or third debate. We're still believing that we can run the table on this whole thing.
Wow. All right. So we know that both Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton have very high negatives, and some people are saying they're going to vote for one because they don't like the other. So make the case to the American people right now. Why should they say forget both choices and go with Gary Johnson?
Well, Maria, 70% of Americans don't know who we are even. And then when presented with the fact that there is a third choice, two former Republican governors serving in heavily Democrat states, getting reelected, you don't really have to guess about outcomes. We've been there. We've done that. I don't think anyone can argue that we changed our states for the better. We're both fiscally conservative. We're socially inclusive. We really have skepticism when it comes to our military interventions that have led to a less safe world, not a more safe world. And I'm talking about military interventions when it comes to regime change. And then free trade. We really do believe in free trade, bringing the world together with free trade and diplomacy. So there's the elevator pitch right there. That was pretty good, I think.
Well, let's talk about both of those issues. I mean, look, national security and the economy, the two big issues for the American people right now. You're talking about military intervention. What does that mean on a practical level in terms of how you would approach our foreign policy? Would you be cutting military spending? Would you be pulling back, even at a time that things feel a lot more dangerous than they ever have?
Maria, I think what's really significant is that there was a poll 3 weeks ago by active military personnel on whom they favored to be president of the United States, and I actually won that poll. So I'd like to think it's based on what I am saying, which is to have an invincible national defense involving Congress in going forward. But when we get involved in regime change, and by the way, ISIS, it is a threat, and we will see those sands move through the hourglass. But there will be a void, just like with al-Qaeda. We didn't even hear about ISIS until 2 years ago. When the void gets created taking out ISIS, it's going to get filled by other terrorists that are going to call themselves something else.
Right.
So we need to regionally contain this and looking to the future. I think that the real threats, immediate threats, Syria, let's end that civil war, but we're going to have to do that diplomatically with Russia. And North Korea, we're going to have to deal with that diplomatically, and it's going to have to involve China.
So just to be clear, you will pull back and you will look for help from China. Is that what you're saying? Well,
in the case of North Korea, and looking at balancing the federal budget, I really do believe that we need to balance the federal budget. And we're talking now, why balance the federal budget? Well, it's future generations. It's the fiscal cliff that we're headed toward. With regard to Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, all these programs have to be reformed if they are going to be available in the future. And then with regard to the military, The BRAC Commission recommends 25% of U.S. bases. This is the Pentagon itself, basically, with its commission that has said that 25% of U.S. bases can and should be closed, and yet there has not been the political will to do that because Congress, hey, it's all about getting reelected. It's all about bringing home the bacon. If we had term limits, I don't think you would see closing of U.S. bases as an issue. If we had term limits, I don't think we would have a $20 trillion national debt.
So just to be clear, the priority is to balance the budget, and that means lowering military spending, cutting some of the programs that are so expensive that are headed for bankruptcy, like Social Security and Medicare. Is that your strategy?
Well, it is, and just when it comes to the military, everybody needs to recognize that we are spending as much money on our military as the rest of the world combined. For anyone to think that there is not an excess with regard to military spending, you know what? I think they're in the minority. I think the majority of us recognize that what we've been doing isn't working. It hasn't resulted in a more safe world, and that we shouldn't be the world's policemen, that we should have an impenetrable national defense. When we're attacked, we're going to attack back. All
right, we will leave it there. Governor, good to have you on the program. We'll be watching.
Great to be with you, Maria.
Thank you so much. Gary Johnson joining us there.